An amazing lineup of CEOs, founders, and experts. This is Marketing for the Now.
Super excited.
Can you hear me? You're 50th.
Thank you so much.
That made me feel.
Thanks for having me.
I love how both realize if you're back.
So glad to be
You real
Marketing for you.
Gary,
How are you?
good. The office is rocking today.
We are starting to get back at VaynerX land. We've been pretty remote all year with a little bit of optional, but next year we're coming back stronger with what I think is going to be a really fun schedule for everyone. You know, not 5 mandatory days, but 2 with a mix. And I think we're going to test it, and I'm excited about it. But I'm also excited about to say hello to Alex Ray and Palmer A and Janine Kelly on LinkedIn, Jamie Lee Hiscox in South Wales, UK on Facebook, Hugh, who works at Vayner. Hugh, or I see Hugh in here on YouTube.
He always represents
Hugh, TV 3.0 genius. Karina B on Facebook. Just great to see everybody. Vicky J, who's saying happy birthday, Nick Dio. I mean, Vicky J is on top of her shit. So anyway, glad to be here with a great lineup.
Yeah, no, we're super fired up to have everybody joining us. The last episode of this year, I can't believe it. The sun is shining outside, but it is cold and icy, but we're going to heat it up. We're going to talk a little bit about the look back on 2022 as we're gearing up for 2023. And we decided to bring a bunch of our friends and family, our clients and some partners and things like that to talk about what they've learned so they can throw down some insights. So super excited to bring up Tim Armstrong first. So he is from Disney to Google to AOL to Verizon, and now he's the CEO and founder of Flowco, and he's going to tell you all about what he's up to. So nice to have you, Tim.
Good to see you both. I saw you a lot this year, so awesome to spend time. And Gary,
Tim, it's great to see you, brother.
Good to end the year.
How are you?
Good and well. How are you doing? Give me your 1 through 10 on how you're feeling by the end of the year. 10 being awesome. How you feeling?
I would say a 7, and only reason it's not 8, 9, and 10 is because the Jets have lost to the Vikings and the Bills in back-to-back weeks, and I'm really sad about football right now. But otherwise, actually a 10. 10 for real life, -3 for current state of football feeling, though a 10 overall because it's finally a good season. All right, let's not take up too much time. You are one of the true iconic businessmen of the last 20 years, in my opinion, being at the helm of a lot of digital leadership roles in some of the biggest companies. I'm actually smiling when you were getting introed because your backdrop looks like you're still on the campus at Google or somewhere right now. I don't know where you are, but it's making me smile.
By the way, beautiful Stamford, Connecticut. I'm at the Flowco offsite at the end of the year.
Well, thank you for doing this. I'm going to let you, we started a little late and you've got the offsite, so not going to hold you. Given that you've sat at the helm of AOL, we're a super top executive at Google. You've been through this journey of Web 1, Web 2, and now going into Web 3. I really have always felt that you have been a unique guy that I've always admired, not only because you've been at the forefront and been very capable, but also I think you're very well liked by the people that actually interact with you. And so you live the kind warrior, honey empire stuff that I care about. So I want to give you those roses and I want everybody to know that truth. So I think your perspectives are going to be powerful. So I'm going to let you rant here. When you think back on looking back at 2022 from a business lens, but feel free to add to that. What's your take?
Gary, 3 things. One is I think we moved from the pandemic to the team-demic. One of the things we say at Flowco is our product is the team and the team is the product. So right now we're a company that we basically have no rules on whether we're hybrid or in the office, but because we focus so much on trying to build a great team to build a great product, I've noticed our team is probably 50 to 70% back in the office now. And I think just that simple focus on moving to a team demic where we focus in on team has been huge. The second thing I think is, you and I have lived through these cycles before, and we've been in the business for about the same amount of time. Is I think 2022 will go down as one of the best years to actually invest in things, even though it looked like the world blew up. I think this reminds me a lot of the dot-com bubble and the financial crisis, which is everybody who ran away this year will be outstripped by the people who decided to stick with it and stay involved. And I think like I'm super excited about Web3. I think like the decentralization of data and dollars is going to be like this year will probably end up looking back. Looks like there's a lot of issues right now, but it's probably the biggest year for the kickoff.
It's to your point, because you were really in it, and I was in Jersey, but I was in it because I had a .com in that era, so I was paying attention. You know, I mean, look, it's the stuff that I was putting out all year. 97% of this stuff was gold rush, and that's why it's getting beat up. But no question, whether it's NFTs or other blockchain technology, like the 2-3% is going to be the Amazon, AOL, PayPals of that era, because they didn't die and they were talented and they were good. It's just hard, you know, for a lot of people who are watching right now that are in NFT land and see their NFTs down 80-90%, they weren't there they didn't own pets.com stock that they paid $113 for that was 3 cents.
Totally.
So it's all new for a lot of people, because back then to buy stock in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had to like kind of be of a certain wealth. You had to kind of like know it. Here, everybody learned and was able to do it decentralized, which speaks to the capacity of the opportunity.
Totally. And Gary, I think the other thing is like at the world level right now that there's trillions of dollars and trillions of pieces of data that are stuck on, 6 or 7 platforms in the world. And I think that what you just talked about with NFTs is, you can say, whatever happened this year with NFTs and crypto and blockchain and those things, but the reality is that force is too powerful to stop. And I think there's a renaissance period that the internet felt like the renaissance. I think the real renaissance is actually starting, now. And the one thing I think you've been really good at, Gary, over the years is one of the books I've read this year. I read about 30 books this year, but the one that stands out probably the most is a book by 3 McKinsey consultants that studied how to success. They studied 2,600 companies, and out of the 2,600, there were basically 200 that hit all their goals and 2,400 that didn't. And the main characteristic difference between the 2,400 and the 200 were how fast people adapted resources and strategies and how much they did. The 2,400 companies only moved about 1% of their resources into new areas when they came up with the strategy of where the world's going. And the 200 companies that were really successful moved between like 10 and 40% of their resources. So the last thing for this year is like, are you bold enough as a leader to actually move to this? A lot of stuff that you've been doing and you've done at VaynerMedia and VaynerX, you've been doing it for years and gotten ahead of the market. But I think one of the things I'm doing at Flowcode is, we have a very differentiated offline strategy that helps people get their first party data and first party commerce done. Is even at our company, we've been a little bit ahead of the curve, but can we jam 35% of our resources and time into the new areas of the world? And that's what I'm spending this offsite at with our team right now is we have to be bold enough to keep making bold decisions, because the market, I think, is going to change dramatically in 2023.
I love it, brother. Listen, I wish we had more time. I adore you. Really quick, I'm going to sneak one more second. The AI chat, the chat GPT, has this hit your radar yet? The open AI, like this chatbot it feels for a lot of people the first time they're really seeing AI instead of the bubblegum and tape of the hype. Any thoughts, or have you not had the time because you're so busy?
I said this at work the other day. Biggest change I've seen since the start of the internet or the iPhone is, I think this is like the internet is a horse, and chat GPT is like going to a Tesla. I mean, I think it's the largest single change that's going to affect.
It's the first thing that I've seen that I'm like, oh, Google needs to pay attention to this.
100%.
First thing.
There's going to be a lot of deplatforming.
Yep. Love you, brother. We'll talk soon. Happy holiday.
Thanks, Tim. All right. Next up, we're going to bring Olga Osmankina-Jones, who's from Wreck-It. And Olga has a pretty exciting job. She's leading the reinvention of the future of intimate health, sexual pleasure, and rights, all guided by consumer desires and needs. We're super excited to have you, Olga.
Yeah, love to call consumers more audiences. So how about just people?
Yes,
yeah, good.
Very real. Olga, I've had the great fortune of getting to know you. I consider you a friend, and I do really think that you have one of the things that listen, I've met thousands of people in marketing in the last 13 years. One of the reasons I continue to lean in to our relationship is I feel like you have really good consumer instincts, which, very honestly, the world that I live in where Tim lives, that's more common because there's startups that really, in corporate world, it's a little more rare because it becomes a little more corporation. But I think, you know, the work that you've done at PepsiCo and now Reckitt, like, it's just very obvious to me that you get it. So from a consumer standpoint, from a human standpoint, to your point, what were the big changes in 2022 that really caught your attention? What was an aha? What was an affirmation? What stands out when you think back at 2022?
First of all, Gary, thank you for recognizing what I really cherish, as I think it is my superpower to stay close to people. In the end, we serve them. That's why we are here, right? Look, I think there was a lot of aha moments. I think reconciling technology and just the role of human factor. Technology kept us together, but put us at a distance in COVID. And I think, you know, Tim talked about it as well, but that notion of human touch, whether it is staying close to people we serve or just bringing people we work with together. Remember how wonderful it was for us to get back into a room, just brainstorm, have fun with it, and open up the creative flow. Impossible to do, I think, over tech. Love tech, does a lot for us, but that human factor, being together, was a real aha moment. You know, there is a time and place for everything. Look, in terms of how we connect with people, another big aha moment, and that's something we lived through together with you and the whole VaynerX team and Durex in particular brand team, is how do we stop just following platforms and kind of jumping on the wagon of whatever it is happening in the world and start shaping how people connect with brands. And instead of just, you know, responding to whatever is going on in the world, actually shaping the behavior through very relevant message, not trying to market a product, but really shaping the lifestyle and providing tools for people to open up a conversation. What we've been doing with you on TikTok for me is a big showcase of that. I think we've learned a lot of what is not working, but we equally celebrated a ton of what is.
Well, I think, you know, what's so fun about what's not working is for everybody who's an entrepreneur or startup in big brand land, and Olga's been a superstar in that world. For the last 60 years, a lot of it is you make decisions of smart people and research in boardrooms, and then you spend a lot of money, you know, by our small business and entrepreneur realms on putting it into the world. And so there's a lot of subconscious to the cost of a mistake. What Olga's referring to is, for a lot of people who are listening, both marketers in Fortune 500, but the startups, is the model of trying to win on relevance and marketing every day, as if the way they used to, by the way, I've been doing, Olga, you're like this, I've been looking on a case study that we're building at Vayner of how Betty Crocker was built. And a lot of it was how we see the world. They did tons of print in different markets, tons of radio in different market with creative that was contextual to the market, then looked at the feedback loops and then made decisions. They didn't have the internet, so it was slower and different. But what's not working is a positive. I put out a piece of content on social the other day of how much I like when my content falls on its face, even though I thought it was going to do well. It's science, the learning.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think big brands are not accustomed to that, because even subconsciously, it's like the creative is expensive, but in the model, the creative is not expensive by comparison. And there's a lot of what doesn't work helps you to find what does work. And that's a powerful framework that hasn't been happening as much in Fortune 500 land.
Listen, I couldn't agree more. And frankly, I think the trick is to get out of that space of it's us versus them. It's us, and then there are some consumers as if they're aliens. How about we just put ourselves in the shoes of people we're trying to serve, and stop talking about masses, stop talking about groups that we don't get, but try to actually get under the skin of John or Gary or Olga out there. And frankly, often it's that creating that groundswell, right? As you were saying, contextual, relevant, in the moment. Often that approach touches enough of mass to create the snowball effect. And, you know, in my humble opinion, often this concept of connecting at mass is misunderstood. It's not about trying to be everything to everyone. It's just really getting under the skin of people who you need to love what it is you're doing in the world and do it right for them.
I love that. What else? What else stood out? Well, we got a couple minutes. Anything else? Actually, real quick, let me just say hello real quick. Keith L. Bennis, good to see you. Vape Warrior, don't vape, it's not good for you. Vicky J. 12, Matt C. on LinkedIn. Olga.
Love how you read all the names. So spot on. Here we go.
People to know we're here with them. Ginger.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everyone.
What else is a hot take of something that caught your attention?
Yeah,
Maybe
listen, very quick one.
Yeah,
I think will be very much in your alley. I am watching what's going to happen with Web3, NFTs, this whole space, because I think right now it's very easy to chicken out, step back, and act as if this has never happened. And the reality is, anything new always has ups and downs, and it's a question of how we weather the storm and continue to experiment, but not experiment for the sake of technology. Again, understand the value, the utility that we can create for the people we serve, and use the tools, whether it's NFT, Web3, whatever it is, use the new tools to just enhance people's experience.
I think that's right. I mean, I remember the internet search engines, the internet stock prices, even people forget, but iPhone apps, there was tons of articles. There's always FUD. They're like, oh, the apps are not doing as well. The BlackBerry was more than fine. Like, it's just always this was so spectacular because there was fraud. There was way too much hysteria. People heard what they wanted to. Every day I was putting out 99% is going to zero, 97% is going to zero. People heard what they wanted to.
It's easy to be afraid. Yeah.
It happens. But nonetheless, thank you. Happy holidays. Adore you. We'll talk soon. I'll see you soon.
Adore you more. Talk soon. Ciao.
Thanks, Olga. All right. Next up, we've got Jessica Williams from Coinbase. Jessica leads brand and marketing partnerships and experiential. She's calling in live from LA. She's focuses on all things Web3 at Coinbase. And before she joined Coinbase 2 years ago, she held a whole slew of different roles at Visa. Thanks for joining us, Jess.
Hey, Gary.
It's great to see you, Jess. How are things?
Thank you. Things are great. I'm actually in San Diego, not LA, but same for those outside of here. Yeah.
Same shit for us East Coasters. It's nice and it's cold out here.
It's actually cold here too. But yes.
Look, this set up nicely. Both Tim and Olga touched on this. I think you're sitting front row, one of the biggest companies in the space. What's the boy, oh boy, what 2022 is going to be a year that you speak to your great grandkids about in heaven, about that was a wild professional year, the ups, the downs, the lefts and rights. So would love to get a sense of where you take this.
Yes, absolutely. Also hard to concentrate while the hearing is going on with SBF, but
is that happening right now?
Yeah. Yes. The Slack channel's gone off. I think 2022 is going to be the year that we learned how to do smaller planning cycles. So no longer do year-long plans work. You got to plan in quarterly cycles, monthly cycles, and as Tim said, be really flexible with your resources and your budgets to shift where it's most needed. I think we saw that we had full plans baked out in 2022, and each month, each quarter, those got blown up and we had to start again. And I think it builds a real muscle with your teams internally to be able to sort of reset and refocus, shift your resources, not worry about what you got hired to do or what you were best at last year, but then to really go where the business is going and go where the business is needed.
I love that.
I think on that same note, we did not plan for the worst in 2022. And at Visa, one of my bosses used to always make us do pre-retros. So what's the worst thing that could happen within this campaign launch, product launch, you name it, and let's plan for that. And I'm going to make my teams do a bit more of that in 2023. Just what's the worst thing that could happen here, and let's make sure we have a plan for that as well. I'm not sure we could have predicted this, but at least maybe we would have been a little more ready.
Yep. What a lot of people, let's really help people today. A lot of people here are destined to be at the helm of a senior leader or someone negatively affected by, a hard correction, right? 2029, we could go into a very aggressive fast recession. 2037, we may have a world event that creates it. Taking a more optimistic view, what nice things come out of a reset that is very painful? You know, what do you think you've learned? I don't know if you in your career have had a reset of this size. You and I have been in the workforce a little bit longer than some of these 20-year-olds. So I don't know where you were in your professional career. I mean, 2008 is a little while ago now.
It is. I actually was working on Lehman when they fell. So I go where the chaos goes.
No, Jess, you worked at Lehman when 2008 hit?
I was working as a financial analyst on a company that was doing work for Lehman, yes.
I see. So you're affected by it. Wow.
Not at Lehman, but very similar, like very involved in the industry.
Yes.
I think for me and what I see is that there's going to be a real opportunity for smaller, leaner teams, less hierarchy, clearer alignment, more tests and learns, less, sort of polished everything. And I think this gives both young and more senior people time to really grow and really dig in, do more things, be responsible for more impact. I think within every business, layoffs are never easy, and I would never wish that upon any company or any person. But I do think it provides an opportunity for people to really stretch both out and up, and it gives more people more opportunity to launch and grow and lean into places that they may not have in the past. And I think that's a real opportunity for everyone across all industries. Not just big tech.
What else on the consumer lens?
Oh. All right. What else on the consumer lens are you seeing?
I think the big one that I have been loving is
Andrea. First of all, Andrea, get her back on. We got to even if it looks a little good. Yeah, Dustin's good. That was so good. You being there that fast, wow. I'm really impressed. Like, you really got my back. Thank you.
Hey, I love Jess. I love you. So we're all hearing this.
I also like clicking and doing 9 things at once and click the wrong tab. Jess, let me finish this off because Andrew's going to take over here in a second. What else do you see on the consumer lens that really caught your attention? By the way, it could be outside of Web3. It might be something, your favorite brand in cereal or handbags, or like what else was interesting in 2022?
I honestly just think this 1,000th true fans mentality has grown so significantly, even for large brands. I love the idea that, Nike isn't, they're still interested in the mass media, but that they are really speaking to their 1,000 true fans through .swoosh launch. Same thing with Starbucks. Like, they are obviously looking for everyone, but really focused on their true fans who are going to launch with them on Odyssey. I think we're going to see more and more of that, where you don't necessarily need every single person. You really need those people who are most vocal, most interested, and who are going to do the thing that you want them to do. I also feel like decentralized everything is exciting to me. Not the same sort of powers in the hands of 10 or 20 big companies, but that we're seeing everyone proliferate across so many different mediums and brands and access points, that we're going to see smaller businesses really rise to the top, because they're going to be able to find these niches where decentralization comes first.
I love it. Well, listen, one last question for me personally. There's a lot of people here who go to business events, do event marketing. You and I have had the luxury of like intersecting a little bit on that. I'd love to get your observations on that space. There's a lot of B2B people that listen to this and watch this. What is the value of, when you look back in 2022, of in-person events in the looming next decade of metaverse? Like, what do you think happens there? What's the good? What could be better? What are your thoughts?
I think that we will continue to thrive on in-person events. I don't think there's anything that comes over in real life relationships that are built at events. I do think we need to make them more accessible to everyone, so that it doesn't only lay in the hands of the few. However, what I've come to realize is that you don't need the massive party or the biggest experiential. What you need to do is provide a good experience with the right people in the room. And that is all that truly matters. And so I feel like a real focus on the quality of the people and the experience. And that doesn't have to be a full experiential, but it could just be a really engaging brunch with a fun, like at Red Bull did at Art Basel, where, they brought a bunch of creators together and doodled on a car. It was fun. It was engaging, and it brought the right people in the room to have a really meaningful conversation that I think can never be replaced. And I encourage folks to create those experiences where folks come and they feel when they left that a large impact on their future could be made.
I love that. Thank you. Happy holidays. Great spending time with you this year. Looking forward to more.
Thanks, Gary, so much for having me.
Thanks, Jess. And thank you, Gary. The end of a year. I can't believe it.
I'm going to go to my Discord right now, garyv.com/Discord. Come and hang there as you guys continue it. Andrea, great year of this show. You've got some killers on here, so keep it going.
That's right. That's right. We're going to bring Avery Akinini up, the president of our Web3 business, Vayner3. How's it going, Avery?
Doing really well. Thank you so much for squeezing me onto the last episode of Marketing for the Now for 2022. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm missing you. I loved spending some time in Art Basel. Jess was just talking a little bit about it. It was quite the year, quite the event that you led there. But we're going to bring up Devin Nagay, who is the director of tech and emerging platforms at Diageo, where he's known for leading their North American digital innovation and disruption. I'm going to kick it over to the two of you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrea. And thank you for joining us, Devin. When we were deciding who would be the perfect sort of cap off for 2022, you were at the top of the list. You've been such an amazing partner this year, and I feel like we've done a lot in 2022. Diageo and all the brands that you sort of support and help oversee have done a lot in the world of Web3. So we're hoping to share a little bit with our listeners on what you've learned this year.
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of explain my role at the company really quick, just for those who don't know Diageo, we are a global leader in the spirits business. So we are a portfolio of consumer brands. You might have heard of Smirnoff, Crown Royal, Johnny Walker, Bulleit, Casamigos, the list goes on. These brands have been around for a long time. So when it comes to digital innovation, I focus on helping our brands obviously stay relevant in culture, using technology to find new ways to reach our consumers and to make sure that we're keeping our brands relevant, right? And so Web3 is a huge piece of culture right now. It's really important. So we've spent a lot of time this year getting our brands into this space with the help of our friends at Vayner3 and Avery and her team. So we've done a lot. I'm happy to speak to a couple examples if you'd like. My favorite example is a project we recently worked on called web3.crownroyal.com. This was a really fun project where we took an existing purpose-driven marketing initiative and we brought it into Web3. So what the brand has done in the past is we've packed the iconic Crown Royal purple bag that you see here with care items for service members serving overseas. And so with web3.crownroyal.com, we created a digital collectible of a piece of beautiful Crown Royal artwork created by a Web3 artist. And for every crown minted, we packed a purple bag. We actually had this call to action on screen on the Bills Lions NFL game on Thanksgiving Day. So it was a big moment for us. And we're really excited to have the brand step into Web3 in this way. And now we have this engaged community of Crown NFT holders that we're going to nurture and deliver exciting things to over the course of the next couple of months. So we're really excited about that. But generally, obviously, 2022 has been an incredible year for us getting into Web3 in authentic ways, and we're excited to do more.
I love that. And that program was really interesting because I think a lot of the listeners here might be, reading certain things in mainstream media that talk about speculative investing, that talk about what's happening with FTX, that talk about, some of that hype cycle. And what you're talking about with Crown Royal, though, is really a campaign that uses like Web3 for good, that both builds a community for an existing well-established brand while actually going to serve sort of purpose in supporting the generous initiatives that Crown Royal is doing. So I love web3.crownroyal.com, and I encourage people who are listening to this to go check it out. And for every crown that is claimed, the Diageo team is going to send one of these purple bags to active duty military, which is just such a nice story. And it was cool because you all are actually the second brand to launch on Salesforce's NFT cloud, which I think is also pretty monumental. Like Salesforce being a huge Web2 giant that really pioneered digital CRM, and Diageo being one of the first partners to kind of be in as part of that pilot. What was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, that was a very eye-opening moment for us and our marketers at Diageo. I think one of the most encouraging things that I see, certainly in the Web3 space, is the amount of investment coming into the space from existing large-scale players in the cloud business, cloud technology business like Salesforce. So Avery's right. We did work with Salesforce using their NFT cloud project to get this project into the wild and into culture. We were excited to do that. And I think there's a lot of promise that we can look to there as marketers as we connect our existing kind of marketing business processes and practices to connect Web3 with all of those systems that are already in place. So Salesforce does a lot for us. We also worked with a partner called CrossMint on this specific activation, which really helped us mint at scale, right? So another encouraging sign for me is removing a lot of that confusion and friction associated with minting NFTs, storing NFTs, and the value that they can deliver. So I think with Salesforce and CrossMint combined, we are able to kind of get to that seamless consumer experience that we want to deliver through digital at scale. Certainly for brands like Crown Royal, we have to be activating at scale, and that's what we're going to look to do in the future. And this space is evolving so quickly. Every week there's a new development, positive development, to help consumers get on board into Web3. So I think we're excited about that as well.
Awesome. And Johnny Walker was, I believe, the first Diageo brand to take some steps into it. And, this is an analogy I use all the time because people often ask me, oh, who are some of your Web 2 brands for getting into Web 3? And I say, look at Johnny Walker, which has actually existed for centuries. And, there's even like famous memorabilia of old Johnny Walker ads that are in print, right? Like this is a brand that's kept walking across centuries to connect with consumers at various like cultural moments of relevance. Can you talk a little bit about the journey of Johnny Walker, maybe starting from something like Gift Goat and up into the event that Andrew just mentioned at Art Basel?
Yeah, sure. And as you mentioned, Johnny Walker's one of our oldest, most storied brands. And I think that in partnership with the brand team this year, we've done a good job of really getting them into culture through Web3. And we wanted to do it in an authentic way, right? Because I think that unfortunately, the list of brands is pretty long that have gotten in for the wrong reasons to Web3 or have gotten in and fallen flat. And I think that our approach really was test, learn, and iterate as we've launched these different activations. Our first step was to partner with a top 10 NFT collection to launch a limited edition gift like bottle that we just gave to those token holders. So we're really excited about that. And then we moved into on-chain activity where we partnered with BlockBar, which for those of you that don't know, you can BlockBar works with brands like us to mint NFTs to pair with your physical products. So we actually launched a limited release of Johnny Walker Blue Ghost and Rare, which is a very special Johnny Walker liquid. And we paired that limited release of bottles with NFTs that delivered a bundle of incremental value for consumers, right? So we were able to authenticate a hand-signed bottle from our master distiller, Emma Walker. We were able to deliver a storytelling experience for those token holders that bought the NFT to them with Emma, and then gave them, first shot at our next drop on BlockBar, as well as an artwork NFT that was designed and developed by Ivona Tao, who's this fantastic female artist in this space. So really testing, learning, getting into Web3 for the right reasons, authentically. And we were actually really excited to launch our latest iteration of this at Art Basel, where we did another drop that was tied to a physical bottle, where if you bought the NFT, you actually got access to a VIP event at Art Basel, where you could taste Johnny Walker Blue and actually interact with an artist who's going to create artwork that will live on the bottle when the bottle comes out in the future. So testing, learning, getting in, and experimenting has been our approach, and I think we're gonna do that into 2023 as well.
Amazing. I think this echoes what Jess was just saying, right? Like having a few sort of agile plans that are built upon themselves. So it doesn't have to be the biggest thing at once. It can be continuing to connect with relevant communities and grow and grow. Sounds like that was a big part of your strategy in this year. So what can we look forward to for next year with some of the Diageo brands, starting to continue building into this world of Web3?
Yeah, look, I think that one of the encouraging signs for me is that there's starting to be some nuance in the public debate about, crypto, NFTs, and utility associated with those NFTs, right? So one of the most encouraging things I saw recently was Jamie Dimon was on CNBC last week, and obviously he has a very firm view on crypto, but he made a detailed call out that he was a believer in Web3, he was a believer in blockchain, and he was a believer in smart contracts. So for brand marketers, it's important that we listen to the level of education that continues to rise, and then to build on top of that. I think in 2023, the year ahead, we're going to continue to focus on, leveraging Web3 for our events, experiences, amplifying our partnerships and culture like sports, in areas like sports. Because to me, the most important thing is the underlying technology that we can use and the utility that can deliver to consumers. So as the education level about this space rises amongst our consumer base further, we're going to continue to get in. We're going to focus on those spaces that I mentioned. And the last one I would say is certainly loyalty, right? Consumer loyalty, looking how we leverage Web3 and the underlying technology to build consumer loyalty for our brand portfolio and some of our digital platforms.
It is going to be a very exciting year for Diageo and all of the incredible brands that you all represent, building in this space. And I think, Diageo does so many cool experiential events. I think during our Basel alone, there was like at least a dozen. Tying those incredible experiential events with some like digital loyalty component, I think is going to be really exciting to see. So I know our time here. So thank you so much for joining us, Devin, and sharing your insights. And we'll hand it back to Andrea.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Devin. And thanks, Avery. Always a pleasure. All right, we're next going to welcome up Mark Evans, who's the executive director at the Sasha Group. Mark, how are you?
What's going on, Andrea? How are you?
Oh, I'm excited about this next one. I'm a big Carrie fan. We're going to bring up Carrie Warburg-Block. She is an amazing human. She is the founder and CEO of Earthkind, a company that keeps pests out without killing or poisoning them. It's an incredible company with a big heart. She also is an author, an inventor, and an EY entrepreneurial winning woman. Welcome, 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 Carrie.
So happy to be here. What an incredible introduction.
Carrie, I cannot believe we're halfway through December. 23 is right around the corner. It's our first year of partnering together of Earthkind and Sasha. I'm so stoked to be able to have this combo with you because we've just had a blast today. But, to build on what Andrea is saying, I'd love for you to be able to give the viewers just some more context on Earthkind and kind of why you started it and what you guys do so brilliantly.
Sure, happy to. Well, it actually all started when a rodent ran out my bare leg, kind of freaked me out. And then there was this continual problems of rodents getting into our farm equipment. There really wasn't a solution out there that was safe, effective, kind to the environment, safe for my kids and my pets. So I reimagined and basically reinvented the way pest control could be done. Invented this is our first product, Terra, little sachet pouch that we've sold over 50 million of these to reliably keep rodents out of enclosed areas like nice Porsche cars, RVs, what the like. And our products are sold across major retailers all over the country. And yeah, it's hard to believe that it all started from just one little problem like that.
Absolutely. And I can testify. My garage is rodent free, so thank you. So I think when we look back at this year, there's been a ton of growth for Earthkind, and it's come really from both from people, the special people that touch your brand, both internally and externally. Talk to me a bit about kind of like how you think about your teams. How do you think about kind of finding the right mix? How do you create that harmony to be able to push the brand forward in such a smart way?
Yeah, absolutely. Starting the brand really from a shoestring and growing it into what it is today. I really kept my focus very simple. You need a plan, you need alignment, you need stellar execution, and you need really good control. So that's the filter that I've used. Irregardless of the size, we really haven't had to change our business model. But we have, for instance, 7 external teams that we work with, and we really consider them as an extension of our own team. So in many ways, we treat them like our own team. And there's a lot of care and generosity that goes into that relationship, which I believe that gets the best from people. But there is no mistake for passion. You can't fake it. To me, as far as return on investment, kindness does it, as you know, the name of our company, but looking for that in our people. And the Sasha team, it's just been a wonderful, wonderful journey this year. We took that bold step. Instead of doing 100 things, what are the 2 or 3 things we really need to do this year to nail it? And I think in the future, we're going to continue to have to think like that.
Got it. And so you feel like the focus was really an important thing this year for the growth of Earthkind.
Yeah, absolutely. Launching 4 SKUs in Walmart stores is pretty important. We do business with the biggest retailers out there, and they still need people walking in their doors. And we need to have a really good connection with the end user, like we always have from the beginning, because we learn every single day. For instance, when you look at what we did this year, Mark, with TikTok, we opened our first TikTok. We did the Instagram Reels, the YouTube Shorts. We got a pretty quick assessment of what was really resonating with people, and we were able to quickly take that in to our Lowe's account, for instance, and see a lift by running ads from that in a very authentic way to our brand that was not salesy. And yeah, we're so pumped about that.
Yeah, and I think, well, first of all, I guess the love is always felt when we work with the Earthkind team. So that's always fun for us. But I think when we think about the content that we've created together, it's been a mixture of being able to bring to life you and all the great stories and the passion that you bring, and being able to capture that and be able to deliver that in content, but also being able just, I think, humanize, rodents, or be able to just like bring to life little quick facts and tidbits that I think people really, appreciate and enjoy. And they're kind of everyday, like, did you know, life.
Yeah, when we started, 98% of everything sold to control a pest was poison, it was kill, it was inhumane. And really, we've since the very beginning, we've been looking at people that want to join hands with us and go on this journey with us and really change the way pest control is done and perceived. And really, the only way to do that is to touch their heart and to give them something in their mind, right? Here's the facts and here's why this should matter to you and is important. So getting that mix right was really important for us, especially on social, which is Sasha runs all our social. You got to check it out and see what we're doing. But I'm really happy that we got the mix right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite quotes from Gary is, a brand will outsell any salesman. And I think about your brand is so powerful and so near and dear to your heart. As you continue to expand and get bigger, like, how do you stay true to that kind of initial brand vision?
Yeah, that's funny. If you ask our partners and employees and people that know me, I've been, really a stickler ever since the beginning that you absolutely have to care. Every time we walk into a merchant room or any relationship, I want people to leave saying, this was worth our time. This was not a waste of time, whether that's the customer, whether that's anybody that works in our company. It's just so very important. And those insights genuinely come from our people when their hearts are open and they're not scared to tell you what they think or what they see or what's going on. And I always think it's better to have 10,000 people like brand advocates looking, right, and watching for you, rather than having one person sitting at a desk making a decision. That's when things really go sideways.
Mhm.
I'm fortunate we have that with our teams. I'm grateful and honored.
Absolutely. And I always think I love how you look at, the digital community as like really building a community, and the importance of having people really embrace the brand, understand the brand, and really be able to connect with them. And I think so many times brands don't look at that way. It's like, you're like, no, let's build a community. And I think I just love that kind of mindset.
Oh my gosh, it's so valuable. So valuable, especially when you live in North Dakota, which is where I started the company. It's not like we could get out. So we've been in the cloud for a long time. And I heard Gary speak in 2007 or 8. And I instantly went home and I saw the value in this and started to put down. It was like we got all the accounts and started our journey of communicating with customers in a very authentic way. And it's been the key to our growth. We really haven't even had an internal sales leader because of that. Our customers have been driving it for us, which is awesome.
Excellent. Well, I know we have only a few seconds left, but anything that's exciting you about 23?
Oh gosh, there's so much. We pretty much hit our goals this year. We're making our bigger goals. I'd love for people to sign up for our newsletter, follow us, follow our community, see what we're doing. That's going to be something really exciting for us. We'll put the link in my social channels here. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Mark. Happy holidays. All right. Oh, there she is, our Chief Heart Officer, Claude.
Hello.
So good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Oh my goodness. And you're going to bring us home. Excited about this last interview of 2022. We're going to have Sarah Rodell, who is the CEO and founder of Loop and Tie. She's going to tell you all about the business, but I'm personally just thrilled by our partnership. We just engaged on World Kindness Day in giving some gifts with heart, a personalized gifting program. We love the heartbeat in your organization because it matches ours. So very excited about the conversation. I'll hand it over to you two.
Thanks, Andrea. Hi, Sarah. Great to see you again.
Hi, Claude. So happy to be here.
Great. I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about you. I know you came from finance and now you're in the world of giving and giving with heart. Who are you? What are you all about? And what is Loop and Tie?
Yes. Loop and Tie is very much an expression of the things that I care about in the world, which is being able to connect with and show gratitude to more people in a super personalized way. So I built the company because I was really interested in how we could take the billions of dollars that are being spent by companies in their recognition and rewards programs and use that to support small businesses and causes and underrepresented founders through what we call collection-based commerce. So our idea is to kind of change the game in the way gifting is done. So instead of picking a single item, you send a collection of choices and people can choose what they want. And with that choice comes the ability to surface just more niche offerings. We can surface stories and let people pick a gift that really connects with who they are.
Amazing. So do you mind going back a little bit to how this even became a purpose for you?
Sure. So I really experienced the problem firsthand of volunteering to send gifts to a lot of people and found that it was more of a formality than it was actually useful to them. And that was interesting to me because I feel like that's a dropped ball, right? Any opportunity to connect can be really meaningful and can have a lot of positive ripples. And I felt like if we change the way that companies can connect with their customers, we have this opportunity to support sort of a wider range of people.
I mean, you remind me, and even in speaking to you prior to this call, reminds me so much of the Maya Angelou quote that we say a lot, which is people forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. It's a huge thing for me. And it really sounds like it's a connection point for you in terms of just the human and the heart and the act of giving rather than, sending something out kind of cheap and cheerful because you kind of have to.
Right. And I think we're, at the beginning of when I was building this company, if I talked about the role of gratitude in the corporate environment, I was looked at like some crazy hippie. That's changed, which is, a wonderful evolution, I would say, of the broader market and just the broader tone. But one of the things that I think is really incredible when gifting does become a part of your business practice is this transition away from treating people in this transactional way into something that feels more inclusive and invitational. And so something that I think the gift can do when it's not a formality is really build a bridge of understanding who a person is. So you sort of move out of this often tiring dynamic of just transacting with somebody else. We're not really designed for that kind of feeling in perpetuity. It's sort of exhausting, but all of a sudden we're enlivened when you get to know somebody who you might be, wanting to sell something to, you might be wanting to hire in a much more human way. And I think that you guys have always embodied that. That's been a really core part of the way that Vayner's been built. And I remember watching the thank you economy talk that Gary did right when I was starting the company, and that, the tenets sort of within that on how to build community bring the humanness into the commercial space have always been just really powerful motivators for me.
Yeah. And actually even jab, right hook. If you think of the ethos around that, which is give, and then ask, I get asked 24/7, like, what is the ROI of kindness? What is the ROI of bringing heart into the workplace? Yeah. And I usually say like, well, what isn't the ROI? I mean, what isn't? Yeah. So I'm going to ask you the question just because it gets asked to me. Yeah. What is the ROI of giving with heart? What is the ROI of invitational giving, which we're going to get into in a sec?
The way I approach that question, it makes me actually think of one of my favorite metaphors, which has to do with farming systems. So hear me out. One of the things that I take the most inspiration from is the way natural systems work. So if you look at an industrial farm, and it's all about increasing yield. When you do that, after 5 or so years, you don't have the nutrition you need in the soil, so you've got to move somewhere else, right? If you look at more regenerative or biodynamic farming practices, it's about taking really good care of the soil. And when you do that, really good food happens to come. And so to me, the ROI is thinking, getting out of this myopic space where you're trying to say, when I give one gift, I get 5 more customers. That's not the kind of mentality I think that's going to create long-term sustainability. And that's more of this industrial mindset. But if we zoom out and say, okay, if we're investing in this soil of our relationships, the way we connect, who our brand is, how we show up in the world, really good food is going to happen to come, right? Our brand is going to be sustaining. We're going to attract the kind of employees and the kind of customers that stay with us for the long haul.
I love that. By the way, you kind of give a nod to Carrie, who was just on. Yes,
I love her talk.
I love her talk, and really you're talking about just like being more human in this in the space that she's in. It's such a dichotomy because we're in a world in which things are transactional, social. I get a like. You like my content, you got to like. You got to like. And so what you're doing is really helping us, I would say, unlearn this idea. And can we talk about, unlearning a little bit or relearning how to give, how to be generous?
Yes. Well, I think that is such a deep question. I'm like, there's so many things we need to unlearn. One of the biggest things that I think we are open to unlearning in sort of the macro environment right now is stress as a motivator. I think stress is a really powerful short-term motivator. Long-term motivators are things like creativity, safety, appreciation. And so when we think about the activities that engender that kind of environment, gifting is a part of it, but it's really broadly this recognition mindset that I think is super important. And one of the things that I love to just sort of punctuate that is our bodies show us that. If you're under continual stress, you get sick. You cannot create. If you are appreciated, if you are given space where you feel like you can try new things, you do grow. And so I think any activity that supports that is something that we need to double down on. And there's a lot collectively that we need to unlearn around the stories with stress and pressure. And, you've got to work hard and sort of break your back in order to achieve anything. It's sort of right sizing our relationship with those things.
Yeah, I love what you say. It's really, we are in this pivotal moment right now where so many paradigms have the opportunity to change, including this one. And can you talk us through, you talk a lot about invitational giving. And one of the things you and I chatted about was, okay, there's intention.
Yep.
And then there's invitation. Can we just talk about the discrepancies there, the differences, because they're subtle?
Yeah, it's super subtle. And I think to me, invitation it's an action, right? It's something, it's intention manifest out into the world. And I love talking about this concept of more invitational commerce, more invitational company building, because what it really speaks to is creating something that you're proud of and you're saying, hey, here I am, come hang out with me or not, your decision, versus something that is more transactional or extractive, which is positioning, manipulating, trying to get something out of you. And it's sort of a tit for tat. And that is, to me, just not something that's sustainable. And so as I look forward into 2023, I also feel like we're kind of exhausted. Like we went from pandemic to recession. Our nervous systems are like, I just need a nap, And I think that kind of dynamic that's the rupture that you need for growth and for change. And so I love talking about, how to instill more invitational practices into the way you connect with your customers, the way you connect with your employees, because I think it gives us that opportunity to really be more heart-centered, be more authentic, and kind of see what comes in when you are just putting that out in the world.
So it sounds like you would say for 23, it's more humanity for the win.
Yes.
Listening, becoming more mindful, not using stress as a motivator,
yes,
or fear as a motivator, but really taking intentional but invitational proactivity.
Exactly. And I'd say a big theme that we've been talking about is values-oriented commercial activities, like just to be as broad as possible, being center stage. And what that looks like to me is being able to kind of dial back and say, okay, who are we again? Like, how do we get out of react mode, and how do we communicate that? Because I think that, again, a question that I've gotten a lot that I find really interesting is people are wanting to know, how do you connect? How do you give in this economic environment? They're not talking about their budgets. They're talking about the tone, right? They're wanting to understand, how do I connect in this like space where there's a lot of triggers out there? And so I think that type of macro environment is inviting in the space of the question we're asking brands back when we get this is, what are your values? What are you trying to communicate out to the world? Do you really care about sustainability? Do you really care about inclusivity? Like, how can we put that front and center and consider the way that you communicate that on a broader scale?
I love it. We could go on and on and on. Thank you so much. And thank you for partnering with us for Gary's birthday, World Kindness Day, and happy holidays to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy holidays.
Thanks to you both for closing us out. That was fantastic. Lots of love, lots of heart going on. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining our session today. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the new year. We'll have our next episode of Marketing for the Now in January, but not until January 30th, where we're going to talk about some pretty cool hot takes for 2023. We'll be back from CES and have all kinds of interesting things. So thanks to all of you for your support this past year. And we're looking forward to seeing you very, very soon. Happy holidays, everybody.